From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
wake up, wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up War Chant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What up, everybody? It's Wake Up War Chant presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan, Corey Clark here as well. If you could, please rate, review, subscribe, do all that to this very podcast. A plethora of options out there for everybody, Corey, to get on board Wake Up War Chant. Somebody was actually asking me how they can listen to this other podcast they heard about called Seminole Headlines. It's out there, just like we are. We're everywhere. If you have an iPhone, use your Apple Podcast app. If you have an Android device, you can use, there's all sorts of different websites we're up on, but I would probably recommend the Google Podcast app. We're available on that, so is Seminole Headlines. We're also available on YouTube. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, do so. It doesn't cost you any money. You'll get immediate updates and alerts whenever we post interviews, whenever we post this podcast. A lot of stuff out there. Lots of ways you can enjoy the show, right, Corey?
Absolutely, my man. Absolutely. And you're welcome, everyone that gets to listen to this.
Follow that guy on Twitter, by the way, Corey_Clark, Corey with an E. You can follow me on Twitter. Just find my name somewhere on the Wake Up War Chant page. It's Wake Up War Chant, all one word. Corey, so, people continue to listen to the gospel that is Wake Up War Chant. People spread their wings, trying new things, waiting back on the review of the sensation salad from Zaxby's from Drew Singletary. But in the meantime, we had a tweet at us from Honey Fried 6, who said, "Nah, son, it's all about the wings and things." Have you ever had the wings and things from Zaxby's?
Yeah.
So it's perfect. If you can't make up your mind, if you're indecisive, which there's some things to be indecisive about when it comes to this Florida State football team, but kind of in a good way, which we'll talk about here in a moment, try out the traditional wings and things. You can either get the chicken fingers with the Zax sauce, or you can get them buffaloized, I guess. That's really not a word, buffaloized, but the fingers with buffalo sauce all over them and ranch sauce. And then you also get some traditional bone-in wings with that as well, in addition to the crinkle fries and the Texas toast and your 22-ounce Coca-Cola Freestyle drink. So if you can't make up your mind, do we want bone-in? Do you want the chicken fingers? You can get them both. Try out the traditional wings and things over at your local Zaxby's. 7 locations around here in Tallahassee, and then check out the one in Douglas, Georgia, and Thomasville, Georgia. We like the guy who runs those. He's a good dude. Right, Corey?
Indeed, my man. That was well done. That was professionally done by you.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying to get better every day, man. When you believe in something, it's easy to talk very optimistic and positive about it, just like I do about this football team right now at its current state. So the Knoll drill made its triumphant return to practice on Wednesday, Corey. By the way, the team is off today, but we will be doing a live stream on YouTube at 3:30 p.m. Myself, Corey, and Ira will be in video form, taking everyone's questions from WarChant.com's Tribal Council. And we will then strip the video out, make that an audio-only podcast for the show on Friday. But the Knoll drill returned on Wednesday. They're off today as you're listening to this podcast probably. So it was good to see that. Couple victories out there. Nice little battle between Kalen LeBourne and Levante Taylor. You can see the entire video of practice up on the YouTube page. A couple guys missing in action. Keith Gavin we did not see during the open portion of practice. DeMarcus Adams also still seems to be out. He's dealing with that tweaked ankle. Josh Kando also was not out there. Warren Thompson was spotted in a blue non-contact jersey. Otherwise, they're out there playing hard. The music is blaring and bumping. And Willie had some things to say about the practice on Tuesday, which was their first one in pads. Apparently, Kalen LeBourne had a couple nice touchdown scampers inside the IPF on Tuesday's practice. So, Corey, let me kind of ask you this in terms of, options. It's hard to pick things out. Like, is Kalen LeBourne, is he the prime candidate to potentially be the quote-unquote backup that might actually perform better than the starter that's in front of him? Because it seems like it's either him or Cam McDonald seems to be the general consensus of the fans right now.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I like Kalen, but Cam Akers, we can't sleep on that guy. He's really good and really talented. I don't know that you would look at LeBourne and say, oh, yeah, he's got to be starting ahead of Akers. I think Florida State is blessed with a couple of really talented running backs. And let's be honest, man, one has proven it on Saturdays and one hasn't. We've seen nice moments from 4, and we think he has all the potential in the world, but he's about to start year 3, and he has one 37-yard gain under his belt. Meanwhile, Akers has whatever he has, 2,200 all-purpose yards and a bunch of touchdowns. So I'd slow down on that a little bit, but I do think he's a guy that could be a breakout guy just in general. Like, I think him and Helton are the two guys on this offense that haven't really done much yet in college that have a chance to be real difference makers in 2019. And him having a 70-yard run in team drills, which I don't know, they're not trying to tackle, but they're still they were in full pads and they're still trying to thud up. That's good, man. That's a nice that's a nice problem to have when you think your backup might be as good as your starter. Or very close to it, and he's a game changer. He's a playmaker, man. And that guy, they missed that last year. Frankly, we know that. We both like Patrick a lot. He wasn't that guy.
There's a certain explosiveness, a quality of that I think that Kalen has that Cam doesn't necessarily possess, which I think has so many people excited. But I think obviously I have an affinity for Cam. Covered him in high school. Would really like to see him have a nice season so that he can, follow his dreams and make it to the league and get, well compensated for that sort of stuff. But there is a lot of sort of good buzz around Kalen right now. Willie was also fanning the flames of that, if you will. But another one is, a lot of people are super high on Cam McDonald over Trey McKitty. And in some of the activity that we saw on Wednesday at practice, and I think maybe Cam was actually on field goal protection. So Trey McKitty was actually working with the wide receivers during the first few periods of practice, which I thought was kind of interesting, but I don't think there's really a lot to it. But Cam McDonald's that guy that, I don't know, it's just because of the way he carries himself in front of the camera. He's just an extremely gregarious, easily likable guy on camera. But I don't know if you were telling me or maybe somebody else out of practice one of the days, but somebody was telling me they thought that, Trey looks really good when he runs routes, but Cam McDonald just has a sort of different fluidity to his movements and stuff. I don't quite see it as stark of a difference between those two guys, but I guess if I'd have to pick, between, Kalen or McDonald, maybe, outproducing the guy that's in front of them, I guess maybe I would say Cam just because I'm hoping the other Cam does really, really well.
Yeah, it's to be determined how much a tight end will really play a role in Briles' offense. Like we talked about earlier this week, I don't think he's had a tight end that's had a huge production numbers in any of the years he's been an offensive coordinator. But he also might not have ever had a combo quite like these guys. I do think McKitty's impressive, man. We know what he is physically, a big dude that can run pretty well. But McDonald, again, looks like a wide receiver. He moves like a wide receiver. He might end up being a wide receiver. I don't know. He's a guy that when you watch him run routes is really, really impressive. Really impressive. But again, that's only half the deal with a tight end, right? Like the other half matters a lot too. And if he can't, and we don't know, I'm not saying he can't, but if he's just getting bowled over by defensive ends, then tight end might not be his position. And that's something he still has to prove. We know you can just watch the guy move and run and cut and realize, okay, yeah, he could be a really big weapon at tight end on the passing plays. But on the running plays, what's he going to be? Can he be out there when it's a running play? Is he a tight end or is he a big wide receiver? I think that's something that's still to be determined. But I think, he's a guy that maybe – and I think he'll play a lot this year. But definitely in the future, I think he's a guy that's going to be a big-time player for this team. He just moves differently, man, for a tight end. He's a different-looking cat.
Yeah, you mentioned it here on the show a few days ago about watching the offensive line do some drills, and they actually were doing combo blocks with tight ends working with them. And Cam pointed out that's something kind of new, and there's a greater emphasis being placed on it. But he's super focused on honing up that part of his game. So it's definitely a point of emphasis that he seems to be kind of taking in stride. If you want to get Ira's take on who could possibly be sort of the dark horse backup, check out warchant.com. A great little write-up on Kalen LeBourne and what he could possibly mean to the offense. Use the promo code WARCHANT30 for 30 free days of access to the Ultimate Seminoles Sports Source. Hopefully everybody was able to get on board with that little flash sale we had on Wednesday. I kind of goofed up and said that you get a $75 gift card to Adidas, $25 gift card to Garnet and Gold, and 50% off an annual membership, but it was actually 25% off the annual membership. That's my bad. Sorry about that. I said both.
Well, as long as you got him in the boat,
Yeah.
who cares if you lied to him?
Exactly. Shout out to Iowa Noel on warchant.com. He messaged me and was like, hey, dude, I heard you kind of edit. Because I said 50% on all of them, but I went back and edited to 25%, but I didn't catch one of them. So he did a good job of listening in and trying to get my back on that. So I do appreciate it. I guess I might have should have also nominated, and you kind of tried to do it for me, Keyshawn Helton, just because I put him number 5 in my preseason unofficial. No one cares about Aslan's top five.
Right.
But dude, I mean, again, I don't want to make too much out of one. I don't know if it's because he went from 29 to 7. Like, I don't know if dude, DJ Matthews is if he doesn't get bumped off the line of scrimmage, like he's going to get open a lot often.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a problem if he gets the ball in his hand.
You like him in the single digit.
I do. He looks
7, man. 7 is nice for a skill player. I like 7 on a running back or a receiver a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was, as we were walking out when they blew the horn, we're leaving, and, there was a one-on-one drill between him and, I think it was Asante. He got no shot. I mean, it's 7-on-7, so there's no linebackers to clog up passing windows and things like that. Actually, there's no defensive lineman rushing the quarterback is what's the problem in the 7-on-7, but it's just he's a different kind of cat with the ball in his hand, and if you can't get him off the line and jam him up and knock him off course, you're going to have a tough time. But Keyshawn hopefully can also push closely behind him there. So defensively, we were able to see some stuff, and a lot of the videos up on YouTube. It's also up on warchant.com. Lots of emphasis on tackling. Really, there's some stuff that they're using that they, not even so much the drills, but like in terms of capital investment, they have this those like inflatable, I don't know how to, not inflatable doll, but like those inflatable rock'em sock'em bumper kind of things, Corey, where like you knock it down and it'll just pop right back up automatically. Like you knocked around when you were a kid. They pretty much have
wobble. I think we called him a weeble wobble.
Okay, I think that sounds right. I agree with that. I'm nodding my head. They have pretty much like a tackling dummy, like a sled version of that, where you hit it and you can knock it down and it'll pop itself right back up. So the linebackers were working on that. Lots of emphasis in striking the actual tackling dummy, wrapping up, driving it back, and then either tackling over to your right side or tackling over to your left side. Defensive backs doing something similar too. So these are things that I did not see the defense do last year in the times that we were able to watch practice, which got me thinking about, it's a huge part of the defensive side of things is tackling. They always talk about if you can block it up on offense and if you can tackle on defense, you'll be in a good situation. Well, like is 13, like was 2013 the last really good tackling defense of Florida State?
No, I think the 2015 one was.
Okay.
It was Jalen's last year.
Right. Okay.
Because I think, again, I wrote about it a good bit and talked about it a good bit, not on this show, but on another one. Just how I thought they took the lead from, like, Jalen led the way, and they took everything from Jalen. Like, okay, if our best player, our top 10, top 5 pick is going to hit like that every play, then we're going to follow suit. And I just think that defense, by and large, was a very good tackling defense. But other than that, yeah, they hadn't had a ton of them. Well,
they're trying. They're trying to get back to that.
Well, good. Hopefully the Weeble Wobble helps them.
I think it will. I like the Weeble Wobble. Also, they have, call it the Crowther. Like that's the two-man sled that they keep using on the offensive side of things. So it's cool to see them trying to utilize new things. And then defensive backs, it's the one part of the video that seems to be getting the most gripes or the most debate going on right now on warchant.com and also on the YouTube page. But this whole...
Oh, no, it's not a Weeble Wobble, I don't think.
It's not a Weeble Wobble?
Oh, no, those look really small. What am I thinking of? Anyway, you guys know what we mean.
Yeah.
Weeble Wobble looks like it looks like a little kid's toy that like fits on a table. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
The DBs.
It's that, but that's the sort of je ne sais quoi of it. That's the essence of the Weeble. I mean, the thing that they have down there. It's like everyone knows what I'm talking about. The base of it's made out of sand, then it's a hollow, inflatable sort of, cylinder, and you just knock it down, it falls up, pops back up. Anywho.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Okay, I was right, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So, defensive backs, this whole concept, and I never heard it before, the in phase, out of phase nomenclature that Harlan Barnett uses when talking about being in coverage. I guess in phase is that you're running stride for stride with your receiver. Out of phase that you're kind of behind. So they were running a drill basically where you're kind of on the hip of another defensive back, and they're just throwing the ball up, and it's all about, turning around, which was the big point of contention for me at least, was trying to turn around and bat the hand down. Basically, he's showing you how to game the referees in terms of, when you're running and you're striding with your hands, chopping and swishing back and forth, like in a natural motion, or as natural as you can make it look when you're, pumping your arms running, knock your arm into the receiver's arm to knock his hand away from being able to catch the ball. And I mean, there's got to be some scientific basis on the fact that they're never going to turn around until the absolute last second. But that's something that people keep debating about. It looks like they're still not turning around. And I don't know, like when you look back at 18, and I know we're not supposed to look back at 18, but was it more of a guys running open problem for the defense in the back end, or was it more just not being able to locate the ball? Do you think it was, Corey?
Well, I think it was both. It was when they tried to play zone, they were terrible at it. And when they went man-to-man, their corners were usually used, not great technique, and either got called for pass interference or gave up long passes. Even if they were there, they wouldn't turn around, or they wouldn't make the play. They just wouldn't make plays. So it was a combination, but it was both. There were some games where guys were running free. It seemed like that NC State game, dudes were open everywhere. But other games, and I point to Notre Dame, which I really shouldn't because they gave up 900 yards rushing. But a couple of the catches the Notre Dame guys made in that game right at the beginning to get up to the big lead were incredible catches in the end zone. But again, you'd like your cornerbacks or your DBs, who's ever there, to knock the ball down at least. And they didn't. It's a crisis of confidence. It was a crisis of execution, and they just weren't good at any in any form or fashion in the secondary.
Yeah, I do wonder if there's anything they can do to kind of separate the two concepts, like the hand checking and then the actual turning of your head to look back at the ball. The one thing I would say that I do like is just, again, this goes back to the functional aspect of the actual practice, is that they start off, it seems like right now, with special teams, and then they break out into individual work with their segments. And they went right from, so period 8 was the last period that we were able to watch. And then it goes into period 9, we're walking off the field. And from there, they go into 7-on-7, and then they do inside run versus the defensive line. So on one half of the field, you have the quarterbacks going with the receivers up against the defensive backs. So at least like they're being taught and drilled coverage, and then they're immediately going into another drill that's specifically focused on being one-on-one. So, I mean, they're going in a drill that's you're running along the hip of your fellow defensive back to work on this sort of technique, and then 5 minutes later, once the period is over, you're going up against a wide receiver and having to sort of apply what you just learned. So, again, it's 5 days into practice. I'm sure hopefully they'll get better at figuring out a way to turn their head around and hand check. But I did like the fact that they went straight from there right to the fire to kind of apply it and keep that sort of stuff fresh. So, again, these are things that I did not notice. It could have happened last year, but I never noticed them do things that everything just kind of seems so intuitive. Like, all right, we're going to teach you this, and then we're going to have you do it like in a game situation or as close to it as we can create. So that to me seemed a little bit encouraging.
Well, good, man. I'm glad you're encouraged.
All right. Well, let's just trying to give everybody a little optimism, a little bit of hope. One thing I also did notice when they broke out into that. So again, they go. They're on the same field, but they got their backs to each other. They're on the 50-yard. They're on opposing 45-yard lines, and the quarterbacks, receivers are going towards one end zone against the defensive backs, and then on the other side of that field, you have the offensive line going up against the defensive line, and you have quarterback and running backs trying to establish some sort of run. But I did notice that the offensive line in that drill, Hornibrook was the quarterback, which I was like, oh, wow, Hornibrook's working with the first team, but it's because Blackman was throwing to the receivers on the other side of the field. But it looked like Juwan was still first-team left tackle. You had Brady Scott left guard. Then you had Bavion at center. I think it was Lucas at right guard. But then you had Chaz Neal playing at right tackle. So, and that was after we actually talked to Ryan Roberts on Wednesday for the first time since he transferred to Northern Illinois. So,
how impressive was that kid, by the way?
He's got an engineering degree. What were you expecting, Corey?
I didn't know he had an engineering degree. I guess I could have looked that up. I just was looking at his Pro Football Focus grades. I didn't care about his academic grades. I'm a college football fan. But yeah, I'd never seen an interview with him. Obviously, we never talked to him before. That kid is really, really impressive. Again, I don't know if he's any good. I don't even know if he's going to start. But getting those kind of people into your locker room is a good thing, man. The Lars Woodbees of the world and the Ryan Roberts. I was texting with Ira afterwards because I wasn't there at practice, but I was really interested in his interview. So I watched it, and I'm like, man, that kid's really impressive. And I was like, yeah, he could be president one day. Like, he just carries him. I know he's older because he's a grad senior anyway, but man, that was something. So you got to know that you got. What I wonder though is what kind of leader will he be when it's his only year here? Can you expect a grad transfer to be a leader? Because I still think that unit needs one. I think it's Big Baby, from what I can tell, and I don't know how much you hang around the offensive line. To me, that's the guy that, and I think Ryan Roberts even said that, didn't he? That like he holds everybody else accountable. He's not afraid to get in your face if he has to. So I think Bayon's going to be a leader, but I wonder how much Ryan Roberts could be too. As one of the, I think he might be the only senior on the line, right?
I want to know why I wasn't on the text to Ira. I mean, like, what, you just talk to Ira? Like, you just don't. I'm not on the group text anymore.
Well, yeah, I had some. I was. I had a complaint about you that I didn't want you to see.
All right.
So that's how it started, obviously, and then when it went on from there to Ryan Roberts. My bad. Next time I'll include you on that.
Thank you. I think Brady Scott will be the leader of the offense. I think he's
I agree. That's true too.
I think he's the best guy right now, and I also do think that once he shows that in game situations and just the way he kind of carries himself, he's quite affable on camera. But during drills, he's pretty firm and assertive when it comes to coaching guys up. So I think Brady Scott will probably be the leader of that. Roberts has got the degree in engineering, and he's also he's going to get a second degree. He's doing sports management, so. It's crazy. So you're a grad transfer. So I always thought by grad transfer meant you had to go for like a graduate degree, but it just means that you've already graduated and you can do another 4-year undergrad degree. So that's what he's doing. But so best of luck with him, or best of luck to him on that. He did mention again to Corey's point, just wanting to lead, that he came here and said that he was going to be the hardest working guy on this team. But then he actually said that it's his roommate Alex Hornibrook who's the hardest working guy that he's ever been around. So that's obviously a good sign for that segment room to have a quarterback that brings that to the table. And then he was asked about Dante Lucas, and he kind of paused in his tracks when he was asked about Dante and just said, he's a dog. So lots of good stuff from Ryan Roberts. Again, the grad transfer from Northern Illinois, vying for time at what we think is probably going to be the right tackle spot. So you can check all that again on YouTube as well as on warchant.com. We'll be back on YouTube Thursday, 3:30 p.m. We're going to do a live stream. Again, Corey, myself, and Ira taking all the questions from the Renegade Express mailbag. That's on warchant.com on the Tribal Council. So get over there, post your questions. Corey, you're going to come strong later today on Thursday for the live stream, right?
Oh, I am. Are we wrapping up the show?
Yeah, was there anything else? Oh, actually, let me add this. On the basketball front, appears...
and soccer real quick. Do soccer too, but first basketball.
So at soccer, they're preseason number one, right?
They are. They're going to be... weirdly, they're supposed to be really good again.
Really? Mark Krikorian's figured this thing out, huh?
Oh, it's a machine, my man. It's a machine. And I think they're young again this year. Like, they're always young and they're always awesome. Then they have Dania won last year, the international superstar. She's here for one last year. So get out there and watch them play some because they're fun to watch. Yeah, and they're awesome. They're the best team in the country.
And speaking of soccer, actually, Mark Krikorian was at practice on Tuesday. So hopefully, some of that national championship pedigree is...
Oh, he was? He was watching Willie and the boys?
Yeah. Hopefully he's coming in. On Tuesday, not Wednesday. He was out there on Tuesday. So this is great, though, by the way. We get today off Thursday, and then when we go back it'll be 2 p.m. practices Friday.
Yeah, on Friday and Saturday. How awesome is that?
Can't wait, but then we go right back to the morning following week. Can't have it all, though. And then, basketball related. Jeff Goodman of Stadium has reported that it appears Florida State has found the replacement for Dennis Gates.
Florida State reported it too, I believe.
Oh, have they? Okay.
Yeah, that's official. I think it's on Seminoles.com.
Okay.
We don't need to give Goodman any more credit than he already gets.
Okay, fair enough. I'll edit that out. Belated congratulations to Dennis Gates, by the way, who was named the head coach of Cleveland State a few weeks back. But his replacement appears to be Steve Smith, a former Clemson assistant, who apparently was let go because during this whole fiasco.
Do you remember what happened there?
Yeah, the whole wiretap thing. He was caught on the tape. This whole FBI investigation into payola or whatever you want to call it with the agents and the shoe companies. Directing players. Basically said something about, the Clemson football team does the same stuff, but they're smart about it. Something along the lines of that, right?
Well, no, you'd have to. People Google it. It does deserve a lot of context. But yeah, it was more like, we don't do what the football team does, where they have the guys in the suits outside of the stadium hanging with the kids. We don't have that, that kind of thing. It basically intimated that Clemson football cheats, and he was fired, not surprisingly, shortly thereafter, but had been on staff there for 7 or 8 years, and they did, they were decent when he was there. And he must have worked with CY Charlton Young at Georgia Southern, or they crossed paths obviously because he was at Georgia Southern for a couple of years before he went to Clemson.
There you go. Thanks for clarifying that.
Cool though about Dennis Gates? Did you see that Leonard went up there for his introductory press conference?
No, I did not see that. Did he? That's fair.
Yeah, at the introductory press conference in Cleveland, Leonard Hamilton was there. I thought that was
That's awesome. Yeah,
that's really nice of him to go do that for one of his guys.
Yeah. That's just Leonard. Leonard being Leonard.
That is Leonard. That's what Leonard does. And now he got a guy that tried to bring down the Clemson football program. So we're all on board with that guy.
Fantastic hire. All right, I think we even have a basketball question for us tomorrow. I took a peek at later today. I took a peek at some of the questions. So we'll be back Friday show. We're back to doing this thing 5 days a week because Corey loves you. You're welcome, everybody. Corey, say goodbye.
I love you guys. Aslan's right. Goodbye and Godspeed.
Unlike fanny packs, bowl cuts, and troll dolls, the sensation is back, only at Zaxby's. The Sensation Salad and the new Sensation Filet Sandwich features hand-breaded chicken, Asian slaw, wonton strips, and citrus vinaigrette, and both are served with an egg roll. The Sensation Salad and the new Sensation Filet Sandwich meal for a limited time only at Zaxby's. And skip the line when you order ahead on the Zaxby's app or on Zaxby's.com.